1, 2, 3.
Welcome to the show.
Can you?
Grab me a positive synergy. I have been doubted through life. Been never done that with trifling people who told me my style will not work. I told them they wrong. Been struggling too long. This song is for you. I'm proving you wrong. Get out my way. 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 What they say, but I want you to know that I'm here for you. And I'm not going nowhere. Come here. Lay your head down on my shoulder. Yeah. Promise you don't have to shed another painful tear. Because I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man. And I ain't going nowhere. We gon' make it through this thing called life. I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man. And we gon' ride, we gon' ride. Still remember the day I looked into your eyes. You caught me by surprise. That walk, that talk, the way you made me gravitate towards you. It changed me for the better. You're all I need, and you're all I see. And you're fine as wine. I'm so blessed you're mine. You stole my heart right from the start. When you said hello, I saw your glow. Hey, I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man. And I ain't going nowhere. We gon' make it through this thing called life. I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man. And we gon' ride, we gon' ride. Hey, if you ever been in love, put your hands up. If you tired of the lies, put your hands up. Wave them high up to the sky. If you ever been in love, put your hands up. If you tired of the lies, put your hands up. Wave them high up to the sky. I'm your man, yeah, I'm your man. And I ain't going nowhere. We gon' make it through this thing called life. I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man. And we gon' ride, we gon' ride. I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man. And I ain't going nowhere. We gon' make it through this thing called life. I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man. And we gon' ride, we gon' ride. Lay your head down on my shoulder. Yeah, yeah. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Hey, baby. Tanya with the T is in the building. What up, Tanya?
Hey, that was a great song, Agnes. I love
Thank
it.
you. How you been?
I'm good. Oh, I hear it.
The kids doing all right? How the kids doing, Tanya?
They're good. Getting too grown too fast.
That's all right. That's all
How
right.
about yours?
Man, they doing great. I can't complain. I thank you so much for coming in here. I'm sure with Real being here, Johan said he probably gonna join us tonight, but we're just gonna navigate through this. I do have the link pinned to the top of the chat for any readers out there that would like to come on and help us read. That would be awesome. Let me give a shout out to everybody that's in the house. We got T-Bone in the building. What up, T-Bone? We got my Nunya. Nunya, what's going on? Nunya, you can come up here if you can.
Faith Beerus, hello. Iced Out, what's good? Nexie Mendoza, how are you? How you doing? Todd Robinson, what's up, my brother? How are you? April Showers is in the building. April Showers, if you want to come on and say something or whatever, you're more than welcome to do that. The link is at the top. SpongeBob, what's up, my brother? How you doing? Alma Queen Newton, hello. Karen Johnson, hello. This Nessie said, such a beautiful song. By the way, I got it on my playlist. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Jacqueline Jones, hello. What's going on? Let me see here. Who else? Who else? What's up, Mary Ann Green? How are you? Vanessa Mary, how are you? Thank you so much, y'all. Thank y'all. Appreciate the love. So, y'all, tonight we are going to start. Okay, that's okay. We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. Tonight we are. What's up, Latrice B? What's going on? Tonight we are going to be reading the sentencing of R. Kelly in the Chicago case. So I know you haven't been on. I haven't seen you in a minute. Let me get Miss Darlene on here. She wanted to speak, and I'm gonna speak to you. Hold on, hold on. Hey, Miss April, how you doing? Miss April, can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me? Oh, Miss
Hello?
April, can you hear me, Miss April? Hello? I don't know what's wrong with her phone. All right, I'm gonna tell her to hit the link. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the Cash App. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you. Riri, what's good? Riri, can you come on here? Can you come on here, Riri? Okay. Miss April, you can hit the link if you want to. I don't know what's up with the phone situation. I don't know what's up with the phone situation. But Tanya with the T, you still dealing with the babies?
Oh no, they're in bed.
They're in bed, okay. So have you been following everything?
Oh yeah, I've been a lot of time listening to you from the bushes.
Okay. Okay. Well, I
But
appreciate you.
I'm happy to be back to read again. It's like a reunion.
I know. That's what I say. It's gonna be a reunion.
Mm-hmm.
I think Riri gonna come up here. And
That's
I
great.
talked to Showtime earlier. Anybody else? You still working? Okay, she'll be here after. Okay, Riri says she'll be here after.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
she said she got out of work at 9:30 her time, Central Time.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Um. So tonight we're gonna be reading. What's up, Purple Purple? How are you? What's up, Charlotte McAdams? So y'all, we're going to go ahead and let me pull this up really quick. And what we'll do in the meantime, until a lot of people come up here, Tanya, is I'll just have you read pretty much the female parts. I'll read the male parts, and then we'll
Okay.
just kind of go from there. And as people come in, we'll go ahead and switch it out and do what we do. Okay, I'm good. Purple
Sounds
Purple,
good.
thank you. Okay, so Miss April Showers wanted to say something. I'll let her speak real quick. Hey, Miss April,
Hey,
Hey, Miss
can you
how
April.
you
hear me?
doing? Yes, ma'am.
I'm doing fine. Uh,
Yes.
I want to thank Atmos for allowing me to spend this time, these few minutes before he starts his show. First and foremost, I want to thank OCOV for always respecting my views. I learned a lot from them. I had a one-track mind, but they helped me to understand better now that everybody wasn't raised like me, and there might be a whole lot of other situations. So I can't be running around. I'll never run around and say what somebody didn't do or what they should have did. I didn't live that type of life. But I want to thank y'all for just respecting me on the way that I felt about Robert Sylvester Kelly, R. Kelly.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I
I'm
want.
not going to. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna sit up here and try to sugarcoat nothing. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
He was found guilty. Tapes was played. It is what it is. Now, I want to say this, and they're probably listening, because these messy, low down, dirty booger bears, barracuda. DB, and y'all know what that stands for. Y'all know what that stands for. Y'all need to mind y'all own business. All of this going in people's shows and worrying about what people are saying is some childish behavior. Everybody has the right to their opinion. Now let me get started with these DBs who want to come at the Atmos. First of all, there is God's law and there are man's laws. Man laws are supposed to be followed. And if Atmos chooses, and I've never heard you wish death on him or anything, but man's laws are to be followed. So when you come up trying to say he shouldn't be saying this because he's a pastor, he should be praying. I pray for everybody involved in this whole entire fiasco. When you attack somebody saying how they should act or what they should say, it speaks volumes of you low gutter rats, roaches, DBs, and y'all know what that is. YouTube will try to take your channel now. If you got so much time to be attacking him, well, why don't you spend that time praying for Rob if you was really a supporter? Because you wouldn't have time to be attacking other people. It's over. He was found guilty. And they played tapes. We know he married Aaliyah. I mean, he conceded to some things. Now, if y'all can't face them facts, then y'all need to go see a therapist instead of attacking people. I did not live through all of this. I take heed to when people talk and listen. Someone just sent me a link, and I'm going to drop that link. There are people that are speaking out and has been speaking out about the behavior of Robert Sylvester Kelly. I pray for him every day that whatever he's fighting that while he's in there, he can get redemption. I don't worry about what nobody say about me. I don't nobody tell me who I should talk to. Oh, and I want to thank Larry for coming out and expressing what he went through and how he was lied to. And at this time, he stands accountable for believing one thing, but now, it was a whole completely different story. See, that's a man. He took accountability for his actions, with his situation, and then he took accountability for his actions with this situation of being bamboozled by them other people. See, I would say their names, but I ain't gonna say them because it's on your channel.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want to thank him for that. It's over. Now, I want to thank y'all for reading these transcripts, because it was raining so bad Thursday morning, and I have arthritis in my entire body. I ain't getting out in the rain for nobody. It better be the second coming of Christ. And then I'm going to get up out the bed and I will slowly walk when it's the second coming of Christ. But anybody else, when it comes to me hurting and being in pain, I ain't going nowhere, and I don't give a damn who it is. It was raining that morning. So I'm so glad that you guys are reading these transcripts so I can actually hear what happened. It hurt my heart that I couldn't be there. But again, I could barely move. And Atlas, yourself, I've been in bed. Hold on, y'all.
Okay.
The radiation and chemo did so much damage to my body.
Yes, ma'am.
But
You okay?
But yeah,
Okay.
I just ate and I'm going to take all of my medicine again.
Okay.
But again, I want to thank OCOV, me being able to express how I felt, them respecting my feelings. I was in enemy camp just to be able well, they want to say enemy camp. I don't consider nobody enemy. But I was able to talk freely with y'all and talk about the person that I know. But again, you got booger bears, barracudas, DBs, and everything else. Like they're the world's greatest fans and they're the world's greatest this and that. And people that actually knew him, they dismissed him. So all of them people, y'all know what y'all DBs did. You stole money. You done lived for 4 years. You're running around in folks' chats, still trying to keep mess going. That's because you some messy, dirty, bitches. You're low down and you dirty. And who in the heck made some of you people the judge and jury to say what people can talk about and what they can't talk about? Get a life. Move on. Now, all of this stuff y'all done did and continue to do, is it going to help his sentence get reduced? That's the question I've always asked. So while y'all worrying about what Atlas saying, what OCOV saying, what people saying, go to your local politicians. Try to get some laws changed where parents can be held accountable also. And again, he was found guilty. Now, that don't mean I love him any less, but I've had some hard pills to swallow too. Y'all need to swallow some pills. Get y'all sorry, disgusted, bottom of the barrel, gutless, ain't never been ish in your life, then found a platform on YouTube, lying to people, to scam people, and everything else, and go talk to your local lawmakers, where them parents could be right in jail with him.
There you go.
You sorry, bottom of the barrel, barracuda, booger bears. If you got the time you spend in other people's shows, in their bushes, do something positive that might help him. Other than that, you ain't nothing but some YouTube things, YouTube gutter, DBs, scums. Anyway, thank you, Atlas,
Yes,
for
ma'am.
letting me speak.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for coming on here. We love you, Miss April. All right. Is that my Marianne?
It is.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, great. Thank you so much for coming up here and helping us today.
My
And I
pleasure.
appreciate you too, always, Tanya with the T. So we had a couple people come in. What's up, SK? What's going on? Rocking with the Truth. How y'all doing? All right, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and get this thing started. There will be other readers that will come in that will help us read. This is going to be a fun read. We've been waiting on this because there's been a lot of speculation as to what was said in the courtroom, what the judge thought, what Bonjean said, what this one said, and what this one said. And, so we're going to be able to actually look at everything and see exactly what happened in that courtroom. Okay. So I'm excited about that. I got some amazing readers on here that are helping me read this stuff. And we're about to get to it, y'all. We're about to get to it. All right. So let me take this off right quick. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get it started. So let's look and see. I think, Tanya, if you don't mind reading Bonjean, Marianne, if you don't mind reading the government stuff, we'll see exactly who's in this thing here. Let me come over here. So it looks like this here is the hearing. United States District Court, Northern District of Illinois, Eastern District, United States versus Robert Sylvester Kelly. This was on at 9:45 a.m., February 23rd, 2023. This is the transcript of proceedings sentencing before the Honorable Harry D. Linen-Weber. The appearances by the government, the appearances by the government were Honorable John R. Louse Jr., who was United States Attorney, by Miss Janice Appeting, Miss Elizabeth Rose Pozzolo, Mr. Jason A. Julian, and Mr. Brian Williamson. Okay, so these were the AUSAs for the United States. And then for the defendant, Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly, it was the Bonjean Law Group, which is Miss Jennifer Bonjean, Miss Ashley Blair Cohen. Also present was Mr. Michael Alper, the probation guy. And also the court reporter is Mr. Joseph Rickhoff. Okay. So the proceedings recorded by mechanical stenography, transcript produced by the computer. All right. So what we're going to do is I'll read like the clerk. I'll read the court. Tanya, if you could stick with Miss Bonjean, and also if you could, Marianne, just come in and just be like Miss Cohen, Miss Appeting. You'll start to get to know who all of the all the players are. And you could just pretty much stick to Bonjean, and we'll figure it out. I'll read all the men, and we're gonna have some fun with this, y'all. Okay. If everyone coming in would just please politely hit the like button. This is gonna be a very fun read. What's up, Ty? Ty in the building. What's going on? Iced out. So y'all just James Harris, what's up, my brother? Y'all enjoy this. This is gonna be a lot of fun. And it's an honor to do this with my folks up here. So I do appreciate y'all for being here. All right, so we'll start off. The clerk, 19 CR 567, United States versus Kelly. Appearances, please.
Yes. Good morning, Your Honor. Jennifer Bonjean, Bonjean, on behalf of Mr. Kelly.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ashley Cohen, also on behalf of Mr. Kelly. Good morning, Your Honor. Janice Abington, Elizabeth Pozzolo, Jason Julian, and Brian Williamson on behalf of the United States.
We're here for the sentencing, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are both sides prepared?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. The documents I've received, and they are substantial. The Precedent's investigation report, along with the recommendation, the government's memo, the defendant's memo plus exhibit, and defendant's memo plus exhibits, which include letters that were submitted to both myself and to Judge Donnelly in New York. The report from Dr. Park Dietz and Mr. Dr. Renee Sorrentino, the defendant filed a reply memorandum. The government has submitted for restitution reports of attorneys Brown and Rosen, opinions of Dr. Sharon Coper, opinions of Smith Economics Group, Pauline's victim impact statement. The defense has filed response to the government's submission for restitution. Anything else I should have? I mean, there's a lot, but anything else I should have that you can recall?
Yes, Your Honor. Elizabeth Pozzolo, we also submitted a restitution memo on the docket that references a second government's version that attached an impact statement from Jane and a study that's referenced in there as well. So those were filed yesterday, and we brought copies up to your chambers.
Yeah, I did review those. And also there was a number of pleadings from the lawsuit against an attorney, Loggins, involving, I believe, Pauline. I did review those.
I think it's Nia, Your Honor, but...
Oh, okay. Sorry. What, Nia?
Yes, Your Honor. That's...
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. But the memo, the other report, was on Pauline yesterday that you sent up.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, I've reviewed those. Anything else I should have seen?
Your Honor, obviously, we have some objections to the restitution issues, but perhaps we should just table that until I don't know how the court wants to go.
Well, we will proceed with the sentencing, and then I'll proceed the restitution after we complete the sentencing that would be my uh, the way I propose to do it. Now, Miss Bonjean, have you reviewed the pre-sentence investigative report?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you discussed it with your client?
I have.
Now, I understand that you have one objection to the guideline calculations, eliminating that. Factually, are there matters that you wish to, to call to my attention you believe to be incorrect? Now, I'm not talking about the legal issue of guidelines, but factually, as far as the history of your client, things of that nature.
Your Honor, in our memorandum, we did point out some factual objections based on factual misstatements primarily that appeared in the recommendation. So I would just draw the court's attention. I believe, let's see, I put it in footnote 2. I've identified some of those factual misstatements. And just for the record, for example, the characterization of the conduct with Nia somehow being over an extended period of time, or that it wasn't a 1 or 2 time occurrence, we object to any statement by probation that it was over a prolonged period of time. The court heard the evidence. I don't think the government would even contest this. It was exactly a 2 time occurrence. It involved conduct that we are not suggesting does not satisfy the elements of the inducement count, but it was a matter of touching rather than penetration or sexual assault as we understand it legally. So, I wanted that to be clear, that there seems to be a generalization when it comes to describing these events. So, I did put that in my memorandum. I don't think I need to belabor the point. So, probation's characterization of the conduct as to Nia and the recommendation we do object to.
Okay. Specifically, can you point out in the PSI that paragraph or the point so that I'll know precisely, what you're talking about?
Yes, Judge. In page 2 of the it's actually in the recommendation.
What page is that on?
Page 2. It's about 2/3 down.
Wait a minute. Oh, I'm not following you. I'm talking about the PSR of Mr. Alper.
Right. And I was referring to his recommendation, Your Honor, where he.
Oh, the recommendation. Huh? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not specifically talking about his recommendation. That is his recommendation, his view, and so forth, which I either can accept or not accept or whatever. So I'm talking about the actual PSI, which will follow him. And if there are any inaccuracies in that document, if you want to call to my attention to them, I will consider whether making or having them changed or leave them alone, depending on the situation. Is there any specific fact that's set forth in the actual PSI dated January 18th of this year?
Yes, Your Honor. And I think it does go to the guidelines, but we object to the criminal history category that he attributed to Mr. Kelly based on this 1996 incident.
I think the government does not agree with the PSI on that. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
So we will remove that.
Thank you, Your Honor. There were a couple paragraphs, paragraph 125 in the PSR, for instance.
Well, let me get to it. Hold on.
Sure.
125. Okay, I'm there, Teresa.
Well, probation says defendant's contact frequency with Bruce. Do you see that sentence, Your Honor?
Hold on. Okay, what is the objection, or what's the inaccuracy alleged, or an alleged inaccuracy?
Yes. The suggestion is that somehow he had said something different to the Eastern District Probation Department, and I wanted to clarify for the court to the extent that this is suggesting that somehow he has misled the probation department here, is that his relationship with Bruce was non existent for the most part up until his Eastern District case. They did not reconnect in and around the time that he was facing sentencing in the Eastern District. So there is no real inconsistency there. It's just that what he told probation in the Eastern District was correct at that time. But his relationship with Bruce did reconnect after the Eastern District of New York case. So, minor point, but I just wanted to make it clear that
All right,
there wasn't an inconsistency there.
all right. I'll note that for the record. Anything else?
Your Honor, the probation report rips a great deal of, I guess, conduct from the Eastern District PSR. And there are objections we have to that conduct and there are objections we have to that conduct that were placed in writing and presented to the probation department. Again, this is conduct that is set out in the defendant's criminal history, though. And the reality is Mr. Kelly is going to be allotted 3 criminal history points for that conduct, I think, irrespective of what is summarized there. So, again, to the extent that there's any inconsistencies there, I think it's not necessarily going to feature into this court's ultimate determination here. It appears in the criminal history section, and so
Okay, I understand. I did review that. It's a summary of, I guess, I'm not precisely sure where the summary came from, or whether it came from the Eastern District PSI or Mr. Alper. Whether he is Mr. Alper here? Yes, Your Honor. Michael Alper, U.S. Probation. The information on the Eastern District case, did that come from the probation department there? That's correct. So it's not your specific findings. You just repeated what was in the PSI. That's correct. There's summarized from the PSR, where I believe in that case they wrote a 30 or 40-page summary of the offense. Okay. And I narrowed it down for this case. Okay, well, I'll let the record disclose that it's not our probation officer. That's not his specific finding or conclusions. He just repeated what he understands the Eastern District of New York Probation Office was okay.
yes, thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Kelly, have you read the pre-sentence report, or have you had time to read it? Yes, Your Honor. I've gone over with my attorney. You've gone over it? Yes. Is that correct? Is there anything else that you would like to point out to the court, or that you consider improper or wrong that your attorney has not told me about? I'm just relying on my attorney for that, Your Honor. Okay, so are you relying upon what Ms. Bonjean has just told me, or you adopt that? Is that correct? Yes, sir. Is the government satisfied with the PSI?
Yes, Your Honor. Given Your Honor's note that the government disagrees with the 1 point that's assigned in paragraph 94, and that's carried out through 97 and then 177, because those numbers carry over into the criminal history calculation, which is in paragraph 97, and then the guidelines range, which is calculated in 177.
I'm not sure I understand what let me read what you just said. Hold on. Oh, yeah, okay. 94, yeah. The government is not, it has no specific information on that. And that's my understanding. So the government isn't suggesting that occurred or it didn't occur. Is that correct?
It's the government's position that the point shouldn't be assigned because we can't determine the disposition.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
No, Your Honor. Just that paragraph 97 and 177, those paragraphs incorporate that one point.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm going to find that it's criminal history category 2, and we're not assigned a point for that. He gets 3 criminal history points based on the New York decision. Correct? Okay. The guideline calculations are essentially agreed to, with the exception of the guideline calculations for counts 9, 10, and 12. What's it?
That's right.
Okay. And Miss Bonjean objects to the probation officer's conclusion that the convictions in 9, 10, and 12 trigger 2A3.1 of the guidelines, which is a fear of bodily harm. Now, the defendant's position, as I understand it, is that based on the government's proof in this case, that Mr. Kelly groomed the victims by the use of affection and gifts, his use of his star power and, his offer to help and so forth. So he did not coerce or use fear or bodily harm, but he used what I believe the expert witness of the government indicates, what's been commonly referred to as grooming, which I understand meaning that you entice rather than coerce. Did I summarize the positions?
Yes, you did.
The government believes that fear of bodily harm is broad enough to include this case. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor. And it's not necessarily fear of bodily harm, but a broader concept of fear. But it does require, the statute, the one item in the statute that would, govern would be coerce, correct? Coercion is defined as any kind of a threat or, other fear-inducing coercion, Your Honor. Yeah, I looked in the Black's Law Dictionary. It says to compel by force or threat. I think Ms. Bonjean is correct that the evidence does not show that there was a fear of bodily harm. There may have been, fear and, that she, would be cut off and isolated and the things of that nature. But the whole theory of grooming, which the government tried this case on, which included the expert witness, was sort of, the opposite of fear of bodily harm. It was the fear of loss of love, loss of affection, and that sort of thing. And it just doesn't seem to me that arises to the fear of bodily harm. Do you want to add any response? I don't want to put words in Miss Bonjean, but did I summarize your position?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor. And I would just point out that I think the evidence, first of all, the government did not pursue that theory really at all. If you look at their closing argument, if you look at also, the court may recall the jury's note regarding the disjunctive versus conjunctive, I think, and their concern. I should say their question about whether they had to find persuasion, inducement, and coercion. And they wanted to know whether they had to find all. I think we have a lot of indicators that at no point was there evidence presented of coercion or any type of threat of anything to overcome the victim's will. They have a lot to argue about the tactics of Mr. Kelly, but fear of bodily harm or fear of any sort of threats that would overcome their will, is not among them. And that's just how the evidence came in. That's the theory they went on. So, yes, I think you summarized it correctly, and I have nothing further to add about that.
Your Honor, the government would point the court to case law, setting out that this concept of fear can incorporate, inferences from the circumstances, including the power of disparity, especially in circumstances involving adults abusing minor children, and that a fear of bodily harm is implicit in those types of relationships. Now, we could also point out to the testimony at trial. Well, Jane testified directly that she was intimidated into sexual acts with Kelly. And intimidation is naturally a state of fear. Now, Pauline testified how she was concerned that Kelly might tell secrets to her mother, and that was, that is what coerced her into engaging in sex acts with Kelly. And Nia told law enforcement that she felt compelled to engage in sex acts with Kelly because if she didn't do what Kelly said, then she would lose the relation. Then she would lose the relationship with her. And this is all within the concept of the implicit fear that is established, including fear of bodily harm in a relationship between an abusive relationship between an adult and a minor child. Well, the one thing that's absent in the case was bodily harm actually done. As far as I can recall from the testimony, there never was any specific threat that he was, going to, or now, he harmed her, or obviously, but it wasn't the threat of bodily, the indignation and that sort of thing. So I'm going to find that we're not going to enhance that. I believe, therefore, that the actual offense level would be 32 in the criminal category 2. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, we set forth an alternative calculation that will result in the offensive level of 33 based on the application of the separate subsection of 2G1.1 that would apply if the offense involved the production of visual depiction of sexual abuse. And that would apply to Jane and Pauline, who both testified at trial that Kelly set up video recording of his instances of abuse. What was the? Yeah. So starting at 2G1.1, if you look at subsection C1, the references a cross-reference to 2G2.1 which would set out a base level of 27 and then an increase of 2 levels for the age of the victim. But that would only apply to 2 of the victims, Jane and Pauline, and not Nia. Would that affect the overall guidelines then? Yes, it would. So a level of 33 with a criminal history category of 2 would result in advisory sentencing range of 151 to 188 months. Ms. Bonjean?
Yes, Judge. Yes, they made that argument in a footnote, and it is less applicable. It's entirely inapplicable.
Where's the footnote? Your Honor, it's page 19 of the government's memo. Okay. Yeah, it's foot 19 starting on page 17 and footnote 5 starting on page 19. I'm trying to figure this out. Can you help me a little bit again explaining your... Yes, Your Honor. So the subsection C1 of section 2G1 discusses if the offense involved causing a person of less than 18 years of age to engage in sexually explicit conduct for the purpose of producing a visual depiction that invokes the cross-reference at section 2G2.1, which would result in the base level of 27. Ms. Bonjean?
Yes, Judge. The only witness who discussed or testified about visual images being produced is Jane. And our position is Mr. Kelly is being punished for those 3 counts of producing child pornography. Now, the government wants to now use this same conduct to enhance the enticement count as to Jane for creating the child pornography that he is being punished for already in the other 3 counts, which would be multiple punishment?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get back to it. Push the wrong doggone thing. Hold on. Okay. There we go.
It also, this is a trafficking type of enhancement. This is for people who transport over state lines for the purpose, and that's the language, for the purpose of creating child pornography. Mr. Kelly's offenses are not trafficking offenses. In fact, by definition, under the United States sentencing guidelines, they are not trafficking offenses. They may be offenses, so I'm not trying to suggest that they're not serious offenses, but they are not trafficking offenses. Pauline merely testified, yes, I saw video equipment in the house. She never testified she's ever seen a video of herself. She never testified that she saw him video her. There's no evidence that there was ever a video made of Pauline whatsoever. This is just an assumption on the part of the government. The evidence didn't establish that. They could have asked Pauline that question, but they didn't, and she never testified to that. At best, she said, I saw the presence of recording equipment. So, and again, we also have the problem with Mr. Kelly didn't transport anyone anywhere. This was not for the purpose of creating child pornography, and this enhancement is completely inapplicable. Other than Jane, there's simply no evidence. We didn't see any video, and there was no testimony about any other videos. So the government, and that's why they relegated this theory of to a footnote, and that's where it should stay. It is not applicable.
Okay. Anything further? Yes, Your Honor. 2 points there. So there are statements from Pauline in the grand jury and Lisa Van Allen that they testified as to how Kelly video recorded them. And in our footnote 4, we have citations to both of those statements. Yeah, but that did not appear in the trial, though. Yes, Your Honor, but at sentencing, that can be considered. And legally speaking, Your Honor, has ruled about 3 times now that there, need not be the sole purpose of producing child pornography to invoke these types of provisions.
But he's being punished for that already, Your Honor.
Okay. I will not increase that. I will make a finding that we have a 32 offense level, criminal history category 2, 135 to 168. So the government may proceed to address me as to the appropriate sentence.
Yes, Your Honor. If we could understand from the court when the victim impact statements will be read, if Your Honor wants to hear that now or at the conclusion.
Well, whenever you want. Well, probably now. We might as well have those now.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're going to read them, or?
Your Honor, they will be read by 2 victims and a representative of one of the victims.
All right.
Your Honor, first a representative of Jane.
Yes, sir. May I approach, Your Honor? Yes. Identify yourself, please. Mr. Brown. Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Attorney Christopher Brown, and I'm representative of Jane. I'm going to read the prepared statement that my client prepared to me. As I reflect on the thought of preparing this statement, my hands began to shake and my heart pounds in my chest. Just writing this is stressful. When I think of all that I have lost due to Robert Kelly, all I can do is cry. That I have lost my dignity due to Robert Kelly. I have lost my dreams due to Robert Kelly. I have lost my teenage years due to Robert Kelly. I have lost my father due to Robert Kelly. And I have almost lost my entire family due to suicidal thoughts caused by Robert Kelly. I will never get back what Robert took from me. As a teenager, I wanted to be a star. Music was my life, and I loved performing. I really believed that I had a future as a recording artist. I never thought that my first love, music, would lead to the darkness that I experienced for over a decade and almost killed me. When your virginity is taken by a pedophile at the age of 14 and you live for him, your life is never your own. I don't know Robert Kelly I don't know how Robert Kelly was able to obtain so much power over me. At first, I believed that he would help me in my music career and that he cared about me and could not have been, I could not have been more wrong. During my teenage years, I had sex with Robert Kelly hundreds of times, even when I didn't want to. It is still disturbing to me that millions of people would have seen the sex tape that Robert made of me as a child. I will never be able to unsee, unthink, or be unaffected by the child pornography in which I was enticed to engage in. I thought Robert loved me. To do the things he did, he, in fact, loathed me. I can't imagine treating anyone that I love the way that Robert treated me. Looking back at it, I was only one of the girls or women to be abused by Robert. I didn't realize until I graduated from high school that I didn't make music for years while Robert was in my life. And that was the main reason I began to associate with Robert. Robert was abusive and dominating. The rules that I was forced to follow for years because I believed I needed Robert were degrading. Sometimes I couldn't eat for days. Sometimes I couldn't go to the bathroom without his permission. Sometimes I had to go to the bathroom in a bucket because I had to have sex with women. It's hard to believe that Robert had that much power over me. Robert knowingly victimized me as a child. I was brainwashed by Robert and a sex slave. He had no remorse, and history has shown that there were women after me who suffered the same fate. Robert made me suicidal as I was a young adult. It is awful. It is awful being me. I gave up my family for him. Nothing else mattered back then. I still don't know why I love music. But by the time I was 16 and 17 years of age, the only thing that mattered was him. I was manipulated, and independence didn't seem like an option. Robert shattered me. I need closure. And I need Robert Kelly in jail for as long as the law will allow. He shouldn't be able to harm anyone ever again. I wish I was strong enough to speak up sooner. I just didn't have the strength. I have been permanently scarred by Robert emotionally, physically, mentally, and socially. I will forever be the girl that R. Kelly pissed on. Every time I walk into a room, it feels like the child pornography tapes arrive a couple of minutes before I do. I am rarely seen. Child pornography tapes have predetermined the attraction that I have with society. I keep a small circle because Robert has proved to me that I can't trust many people. I am 38 years old and learned sex through the lens of a pedophile. Have I never had a loving romantic relationship with a man that lasted longer than a year? I have been bullied on social media and looked down as the problem because I was victimized as a child. In what world in in what world does that make sense? Despite all of the things that Robert did to me, today members of his team and those that support him still attack me. There's documented tapes establishing the horrible experiences that is actually my life. The public sees child pornography. The world does not see the depression and the thoughts in my mind that would anyone give pause that I could have ever led a normal life. I have never been able to experience normal. My teenage years and adulthood have been built through the lens of a pedophile. It is awful living life not knowing that you can't trust yourself because you're unaware exactly how fractured and broken you are. No amount of therapy will make me normal. The best I can hope for is to properly function and deal with the brokenness that is my life. Is that fair? But if you ask Robert Kelly's team, I am the problem. I am deceitful. I am the liar. Let me be clear. Robert Kelly is no saint. Does anyone really believe that Robert is not in those child pornography tapes? Does anyone believe that Robert did not entice a young girl and destroy her life? Does anyone believe that what happened to me is okay? I think the answer is no. But if I was to listen to Robert's team, I would be the 14-year-old girl again, being enticed to continue down a socially destructive path, and the pedophile will still be in control of my life. I made the decision some years ago to take control of my broken life. It is extremely hard, but it's the only life I have. I make decisions in my own my own time frame. I try to review all the possible results with as much certainty as possible before I decide what to do. It only seems right. I try to be more methodical because following passion for my first love, music, broke me beyond repair. Another mistake like that will kill me. Robert is not worth dying over. I cannot escape the psychological prison Robert has put me in. Robert Kelly needs to be in jail for the balance of his natural born life. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Your Honor, Neil will be heard from next.
Fine. Good morning.
Good morning. I was 15 years old when I met you. I saw you from across the mall. I was so excited. You were one of my favorite singers. My heart felt like I was going to explode the closer I got to you. I could not believe you were there. How lucky I felt. Like a starstruck teenager, I ran over to you. I felt giddy and full of joy, and I was visibly nervous. I asked you for your autograph, but you gave me your phone number and a lifetime full of self-doubt, embarrassment, and rejected sense of self-worth. When I met you, I was a pleasant-faced, skinny, shapeless teenager who who mostly undeveloped and looked much younger than my age. Guess who was? I was very anxious and a nervous child. I wasn't shapely like my peers, and I often got teased for my unflattering, skinny appearance. There was no mistake. I looked like a child. Within minutes after meeting you, you invited me and my friend to your concert that night. I was over the moon happy. For once in my lifetime, someone other than my family thought that I was special. I wanted to scream out loud. R. Kelly thinks I'm special. I'm not just plain or insignificant or invisible. He picked me. He wants me. I desperately wanted to go to the concert, but my friend refused to go. The next day, I built up enough courage to call and apologize for not making it. I fully expected that you would not answer your phone, but you did answer, and my heart dropped to the bottom of my toes. The conversation was brief, but you were kind, and you seemed interested in talking to me again. I hung up the phone, and my heart began to flutter. While my head filled with childish dreams of you and me being together, we spoke a few more times on the phone. Each time I could feel myself falling deeper and deeper. I knew nothing about love, romance, or how to please a man. I only knew that I did not want to disappoint you. I came from a single family, a single mother home, and my mom did the best she could by raising us. But she was not rich, and she had to work long hours and sometimes night shifts just to be able to make ends meet. I'm sure it was easy to see that my family struggled financially. And at this time, I would have done anything to maintain his attention, including lying to my mother. To this day, I still regret. Eventually, Rob invited me to his Minnesota concert. Transportation to a hotel, the concerts, the tickets were all prearranged. When the limo pulled up at my house, I felt like I was Cinderella going to the ball. After the concert, I went back to the hotel and waited for you. I was hungry. I did not have any money. I didn't know about room service. I kept telling myself that I need to just stay calm and not panic like a child. I eventually fell asleep telling myself that you must have been very busy. The next morning when you came to my hotel room, you requested I remove my clothes and walk. I awkwardly did what I was told to do. You had me lay on the bed while you molested me and pleased yourself. After, you put your clothes back on and left without saying a word. I met you again, this time in Chicago at your recording studio, and you told me to come alone, but I disobeyed and brought my cousins. Once again, you got me alone and you groped me and you sent me on my way. I felt used. I felt rejected in every way imaginable. And the next time we saw each other, I was a woman. I was a talent in one of your videos. I had grown into my long, lanky body and was no longer awkward. But regardless of how beautiful I may have been on the outside, I was completely damaged by you on the inside. You looked at me as if you could recognize me, but you acted as if I disgusted you and looked away. This emotional pain lingered in me all the way up until the day I testified against you in court. It was like a light turned on and I could finally see you for who you are. You were disgusted by me, not because I did something wrong, but because I grew up into a woman. I no longer looked like a child, but a mature, curvy woman, and you were only interested in children. Robert, for years you made me feel like there was something wrong with me. Now, you are here in this courtroom in front of this judge because there is something wrong with you. No longer will you be able to harm anyone's children. No longer will you be able to go to shopping malls and pick up a child for the night. I'm not a revengeful or hateful person, but I highly suggest you spend every day in jail praying to God and asking him for forgiveness. No child should have to suffer self-hate like the way you made me suffer. I felt used. I felt worthless. I felt foolish. For the next 20 years of my life, I would wonder what I did wrong and why I wasn't good enough for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. You'll hear from Pauline next. Good morning.
Good morning.
I have once loved Robert for many, many years. We had a solid friendship, I thought. I was going to conquer the world with him. Funny, I did not such things. I'm here today just seeking restitution for the years 2008 through 2014 for seeing my therapist. My insurance covered a few appointments, but not all. I was going through therapy twice a month, and they only covered 4 visits. How great is insurance? I thank Thrive because they have helped me during some of the darkest places in my life. West Valley helped me a lot during the time I lived in LA. All I would like is for continuing mental health help. I stopped working for years because I felt less than. When I had my son, I was actually super healthy, no complications during my pregnancy, and I had a strong delivery. However, I could not handle the thought of being away from my child, the things that might could happen at a school or a daycare facility. He was too young to talk. My life is hard when you think about it. When all you think about is someone possibly harming your child because of things that has happened to you. I felt as though I was doing well with my life, learning to cope with things as much as I could. I had started teaching because I wanted to make a difference for other children. I would call myself the children whisperer, so did R. Kelly, because I refused to let any child get left behind. I was making over $50K a year. When I was so emotionally not in a good place, I had to stop working. I really needed to stop working because I refused to go back into that dark place I was once at. Blood, sweat, and tears. Day by day, I crawled myself out of that depression. And I learned that no one could take that away from me. All I want in life is to feel a little less stress. I enjoy spending time with my family. My family is my entire world. I don't think without them I could be standing here today. I've had those dark thoughts of suicide. I've had those dark thoughts of nobody loving me. Let's just say this, Your Honor. I do not know what I would do without my current husband. I never even thought that there would be a possibility for someone like me to be able to be married, or even if I deserve to be a wife. Because of the past trauma that I experienced with Rob and the way he played me online for years, I didn't think that I could be right for anyone else besides him. Trust me, that's not a good conversation piece when trying to date. People just simply jump to conclusions and think bad stuff about you before they even know anything about you. I've lived with this secret for years. I can never open up to a person. I've always held back to my harsh realities, not feeling worthy, not feeling good about myself, feeling just overall gross. I had reached a place in my life that I was determined to finally live, to finally thrive. I was determined to not let my past determine my future. I would no longer play victim, and I would just take ownership of being a victim. So I told myself that the next person that God allowed me to meet, which was my husband, I would give him the true version of myself, regardless of what he thought of me. At least I would be finally Pauline, living in her truth. And guess what? He actually loved me. He loved me honestly. He loved my realness. And it was a lot for him to take at one time. But he helped me go to therapy starting back in 2015 that he paid for out of his pocket. That's how I knew it was real. He knew I wasn't okay and that we needed couples therapy if we're going to make this thing work. I am very truly blessed and grateful because not everyone that came out of this situation has been blessed to find love. I have lost so much due to this. My best friend, the whole wide world, Jane, we do not talk to this day because Robert pinned us against each other. Our children will never grow up together going to birthday parties. And that's something that money just can't buy. I can never get those years back with a person I felt was my bestest friend in the whole wide world. I've lost so many friends along the way due to their feelings regarding this case. I feel as though I have lived a double life my entire life, being that my family knows nothing what I was going through. That was not easy to deal with, dealing with mental health issues as well. My children can't even have regular childhood experiences like sleepovers because I refuse to allow my children to go into people's houses. I don't trust anyone with my children because I know firsthand where that can go. I just can't see how a person could sit and not feel any bad or remorse for his behavior. Meanwhile, he's just rich and living his best life while there's a lot of us out here suffering. I'm trying my best to live a productive life to the best of my ability in this crazy world. I'm mentally drained, but I do keep trying to keep it together and function on a daily basis because I look at my children and know that it is possible. It is possible to continue to push through anything you have gone through, and it does not have to be the end of your story. I simply am taking full control of my narrative, and I will change it every day, step by step. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the government wish to address me on the appropriate?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor,
Proceed, counsel.
based on the 3553A factors, a significant sentence is warranted in this case. A sentence of 300 months. And yes, that sentence must run consecutive to the sentence he has received in New York. A significant sentence, one that is sufficient, but not greater than necessary, is a sentence that would effectively confine the defendant to prison for the rest of his life. There are three things that anchor the government's request: the seriousness of defendant's conduct, that is, the absolute depravity of preying on children to meet his sexual desires, the adequate deterrence and protection for the public because defendant for decades has been sexually abusing girls intentionally and with willful disregard, meaning he knew what he was doing was wrong and criminal, and he did it anyway. And third, the need for the sentence imposed to reflect the seriousness of the offense, or in other words, justice for his victims. Now, the government is not going to reiterate our sentencing memo, but we will take this time to offer the court key takeaways from the sentencing memo, which support an above guideline sentence. First, the seriousness of defendant's conduct. The defendant inflicted deep wounds on three women: Jane, Pauline, and Nia. You heard in their own words that they will never heal from these scars. At trial, Your Honor heard each of these women relive the heinous things he did to them while they were children. For the rest of their lives, they will have to live with the feelings of distrust, victimhood, and worst of all, unwarranted shame for what he did to them when he should be the one expressing shame for what he did. But to this day, he refuses to show any shame, any remorse. What we've heard instead is turning the tables on the victims, blaming them for his conduct. The focus should be on the defendant's conduct. Your Honor heard Jane testify how he lured her, a child, into hundreds of sexual encounters.
Let me ask you one question. You said blaming him for his conduct. Where did?
Yes, Your Honor. In the defendant's counsel's words in his sentencing memorandum, he pointed to Nia wanting to engage in the relationship with him because she wanted to get an autograph from him, and that describing his sexual abuse of Jane as a relationship with him.
I'll address this, Judge, but
Your Honor, can I finish?
Go ahead.
Can I finish? Thank you. She got gangster. Your Honor, Your Honor heard Jane testify how he lured her into hundreds of sexual encounters, how he gave her alcohol and showed her pornography, how at nearly 30 years old, he took her virginity when she was 15. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's weird. How he used her to lure other young girls, other children to engage in threesomes. At 14 and 15 years old, these girls were engaging in threesomes with a grown man. And perhaps worst of all, videos 1, 2, and 3 show how he used Jane as a sex prop, as a thing for his child pornography videos that he directed and recorded, forever memorializing his abuse. And video 1, which has been widely circulated and, in a horrible way, has become part of the social record, is something that Jane will have hanging over her head for the rest of her life, as you've heard in her statement. And Your Honor, you cannot tell the story of Jane without also talking about the obstructive conduct that Kelly engaged in to save himself from prosecution. You heard Jane testify how she lied for him in the grand jury back in 2002.
Objection.
That transcript,
Jane never testified before the grand
Your Honor,
jury.
that transcript was
Well,
an
proceed.
exhibit.
I heard the trial, so go ahead.
The transcript was an exhibit at the trial. She lied at Kelly's direction. And her parents, they lied about seeing their own daughter in video 1 because they were scared to go against Kelly's power, money, and influence. This obstructive conduct is exactly the type of conduct that warrants an enhanced sentence because it was designed to thwart any law enforcement efforts to hold him accountable for his abuse of Jane. He made a mockery of justice to protect himself and his career. But now a jury has spoken, and now is the time for justice. And his sentence, in light of the 3553A factors, should reflect all of the conduct surrounding his criminal sexual abuse of Jane, including obstruction. Pauline also has emotional scars she carries to this day from Kelly's manipulation and sexual abuse of her when she was 14. Kelly used her for sex acts hundreds of times and convinced her that it was their secret to be kept from everyone else. And you heard her tell you today the toll of keeping Kelly's secret, what that has exacted on her life. And Nia, a child in the mall, as she said, excited to see a superstar, not knowing that her innocent request for an autograph would lead to her being alone with this man in a hotel room where he sat on a bed next to her and masturbated. Or that it would lead to her being in a hallway of his studio where he put his hands down her pants and up her shirt, fondling her. The defense in their papers make a point of emphasizing that Kelly's abuse of Nia was isolated, quote, and merely a two-time occurrence that did not involve anything more than touching. That's an attempt to minimize defendant's conduct. As you heard from Nia, one cannot quantify the trauma of sexual abuse. Nia's trauma is real and lasting. The fact that it happened twice doesn't change the fact that she was a child when it happened, and that to this day, she's dealing with the fallout of the way he manipulated her and shamed her. Standing alone, a sentence of 300 months appropriately accounts for the indescribable harm defendant has caused to Jane, Pauline, and Nia. As to the adequate deterrence and protection from the public, defendant's conduct as shown in this case is far from being a one-time mistake. Defendant's sexual abuse of minors was intentional and prolific. He stands before you a 56-year-old man who has proven that he cannot control his impulses and that even in the face of clear signs that his conduct is criminal, including obtaining false documentation to marry a 15-year-old and knowing that authorities were investigating allegations of his sexual misconduct of Jane, even in the face of those clear signs, he refused to control himself. Take, for example, how with careful deliberation in the videos he created, He fixed the camera on Jane's face, knowing she was 14 years old. And he also ensured that the camera caught his own face. This conduct speaks volumes about his complete failure to grasp the gravity of the harm he was causing and how beyond the reach of the law he thought he was. A defendant that brazen demands a substantial, I apologize, a defendant that brazen demands a substantial and significant sentence in order to protect, promote respect for the law, and protect the public. Defendant's sexual desire and interest in young girls hasn't gone away. It is what he has been doing for most of his adult life and what makes him a danger to society. His refusal to accept responsibilities for his actions that dates back to at least 2008 when he pressured Jane and her parents to lie in a state grand jury, and it continues to this day. The arguments advanced by his counsel in his sentencing papers deflect blame for defendant's conduct on everyone but him. His lack of acceptance of responsibility for his criminal conduct, even despite unassailable video evidence of that conduct, demonstrate that he poses a great risk of recidivism. Now, the government recognizes that before stardom, defendant had a difficult upbringing, including instability in his home, learning challenges, and the sexual abuse he suffered as a child. Separately and combined, these circumstances present serious challenges. However, none of these mitigating factors overcomes the aggravating factors in this case: the seriousness of the offense, the refusal to accept responsibility and lack of remorse, and the decades of conduct that demonstrates that he poses a great risk of recidivism and danger to the community. The reality is that defendant had multiple chances to break a harmful cycle that began with his own abuse, but instead, he chose to perpetrate it. Did I say that? Okay. Defendant's unrelenting abuse of girls and women and his refusal to acknowledge his criminal conduct and the harm he has caused demonstrates that he cannot be deterred. And the only way to ensure that he does not reoffend is to impose a sentence that will keep him in prison for the rest of his life. And finally, the need for the sentence imposed to reflect the seriousness of the offense, or in other words, justice for defendant's victims. For all the reasons discussed today and set forth in the government's paper, the 3553A factors warrant a sentence of 300 months, and that sentence must run consecutive to the sentence in New York. It must do so for these victims to receive justice. Simply put, their harms are distinct from and different from those victims in the New York cases. Substantial incremental punishment is necessary in this case to account for his sexual abuse of Jane, Pauline, and Nia, who were not a part of the New York case in any way. For all the reasons in the government's papers, Kelly's sentence needs to reflect the seriousness of the lifelong harm he caused to Jane.
Let me ask you a question. Excuse me.
Yes?
Can I interrupt one question? If they weren't, I appreciate that. And I appreciate it, in two respects, that they weren't tried together, but, that they weren't tried together. But, they could have been tried together, but, it would have made a 1 month trial into a 2 month trial, but they would, they could have been tried together, though, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you would have to have a huge, the sentence would be higher than 360 to life, correct?
If they were all tried together?
Yeah, if this case, our case had been tried with New York, by the time you got through the guideline calculations, it would have, cut off at 360 to life, wouldn't it?
The guidelines likely would have been life.
It was. Sorry. Bonjean, I'm sorry.
She said it was.
Oh, she did.
No, I'm joking. I
Oh,
think she took us.
Bungie, Tanya, you sleep yet? Tanya, I think Tanya's asleep. Okay.
Did she fall asleep before? Was she the person who fell asleep like a little while ago?
Yeah, yeah. So she's out. She's out like a light. So this is what we're gonna do. Let's go ahead and finish up this page, and then we're gonna cut it, and then we're gonna read the other half tomorrow.
Sounds good.
So to Tanya sleep. So you know what? Let's stop here because this was getting real. We're gonna just stop here right here at the top of page 40.
All
Right here
right.
top, and let's just chit chat for a little bit. Let me take, so y'all just somebody type in the chat top of page 40. Somebody type in the chat top of page 40, please. All right, so let's talk. Wow, these impact statements were, man, I'm surprised. I guess Pauline did a really, really good one. Nea's was pretty good, and so was Jane's. I think if I did hear some people saying that if Jane would have been there, they think it would have been, a lot more effective because it would have been her. But having that Christopher Brown, I didn't hear him. I know the truth was there. I'm not sure how impactful he was. The truth, I don't know if he was really convincing. If he did her justice, but I think it would have went over better if she would have been there herself to read her own impact statement. You know?
Yeah, I can see that, but it would just be, I can imagine it'd be really rough for her after everything.
But yeah, you're right. But I think on the other hand, that when you're reading an impact statement like that, it's just my opinion. But I think that the court and the judge and the defendant needs to see your tears and your pain and really how much you cause. I don't think that the lawyer Christopher Brown, a man reading a female victim's impact statement, did anything for her.
I can agree with that.
Just imagine him. It would have been different with her talking about how hurt she was, as opposed to him saying, that she was hurt. Like, you're not gonna give over the same emotion. You're not gonna, and that could have, she might have cried or I don't know. I think she should have. It hurt her not showing up. It's just my opinion.
Yeah, it was interesting to me to see that this woman, she's now a woman and she's 38 years old. And as a real grown woman, now having to reflect on this. And I feel like she's one of the bigger victims in this case, just with like how when her victim impact statement, she talked about how she was just 14. He basically trained her and she lived her, like, part of her childhood and her early adulthood under his abuse. And how it's impacting her love life. That's sad.
And the truth said the impact statement tore her up. Yeah, I think I just think it would have been more effective if she would have read her own impact statement. And that's just my opinion. The truth said that that thing tore me up, Atmos. I think you just wanted her there. I would have probably once wanted her, especially you asking for what, 14 million, $10 million. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, they didn't get it or whatever. Pauline's impact statement was so on point. I think she had the best one because she had proof that she was actually in getting counseling, and how she finally met a man. She didn't think that she would ever find real love outside of R. Kelly. She finally met a man who loved her and took the money out his own pocket to pay for her to get help with her trauma from R. Kelly. Like, that's love right there. That's for a man to love a woman so much that he said, baby, you know what? I want to help you get through this trauma this man put you through. I'm gonna take the money out of my own pocket. That's a man. Dude get that. He's MVP for me.
Agreed.
You know, um, Marianne, your reading is like impeccable. I do appreciate you for coming on here. Hopefully, I can get you back tomorrow. I'm thinking about going again 9:30 tomorrow. I don't know what you're doing or what you got going on, but if you could come back on and read, that would be just amazing.
I will
It,
try my very best.
and I appreciate you trying your very best. That was awesome. I appreciate you so much. Is there anything else that you want? Did anything stick out to you? You know, and here's the thing, you hear about things that the other bloggers say, you hear about people that were there that come on social media and talk about it, but when we read it, it's a lot of stuff that you read like, dang, they said that, he did that. You know what I mean? That's why we read these transcripts, because we want to know the truth, you know. What you have any other questions?
Well, I have a question that kind of goes with a comment. Like, so as far as the restitution goes, did the judge not give these young women restitution because he does not no longer has money? Because like after hearing those victim impact statements, like what happened that put you in a position where you're just like, oh, they get nothing. You know, we'll just pay for the therapy for Pauline.
I think that part is coming up. Like next, like really close, because I think that's why he's asking these questions. So we'll find out tomorrow from here. But I kind of want to, you hear rumblings of what people said, on YouTube about what he said in the courtroom on that part. However, I guess it's, he don't have the money. I guess that he told the girls they should go do it civilly. Try to sue him civilly or something like that. We'll read on it tomorrow, though, for sure. What's up, West Coast Bells? The truth said the judge was frustrated and said it was overkill. So, I guess we'll
I wish
find
you could
out.
see my face right now. Like,
what?
Overkill, like sleeping with 14-year-olds and
Yeah,
ruining their lives.
Yeah. It's pretty disgusting. But,
I don't see any overkill. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, is that
You woke
Tanya?
up?
You
I'm
woke up?
here.
You came back to life?
It was a long time that I was sitting there. You know me. You know me.
We can read a little bit more if you want to, because you were actually up.
I'm up.
You want to read some more?
I don't mind.
Okay, yay. Okay, let me pull it back up.
Sorry.
The funny thing is, he was like, "Yeah, she fell asleep."
She fell asleep. Okay, so hold on. Let me share this. Yay, she's back, y'all. Hold on. We're going to continue reading just a little bit more. Let me share this. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's start at the top of page 40.
Okay.
The guidelines likely would have been life.
It was
360 months, which is a lot less than 650.
Yes, Your Honor. However, the sentence that the New York court ultimately imposed, we don't know what that could have been or would have been given the increased harm. There's no, if you will, volume discount for the number of victims.
I understand that. But she, Judge Donnelly, did have an upward departure, correct?
I believe so, Your Honor.
I believe I don't remember what.
No, Your Honor. I apologize. No, Your Honor, the guidelines were 360 to life, and I believe he received a within guidelines range.
She gave him
sentence
360 months, and the guidelines were what? 250 to something. Anybody know?
Hold on a second, Your Honor.
My only point, and I don't like to interrupt you, but my only point was that if it had been, tried together, the guideline, well, it could have been, life, I guess, but
they would have been life.
Life is life, okay?
The point being is that you didn't, despite what the guidelines range may have been, the court gets to decide in that range and on that continuum.
Yeah, it could have. I mean, I read somewhere that some judges have given 7,000 months to defendants that they thought were particularly bad, but that's just, I guess to make a point. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, Your Honor. The point being is that even if these cases were, this case was, these particular victims were included in that case, it doesn't mean that his sentence would have been the same as it was in New York. There could have, and there should have rightfully been an increase, substantially incremental increase for that harm.
Well, the judge could have given a higher sentence than she actually did. I appreciate that. I'm just saying. But you're asking for 650 months?
We're asking for 300 months.
300 plus 350, I believe that's 650, right?
It would run consecutive to the New York sentence.
Yeah. We do that, then in effect, he's getting a sentence of 650 months, correct? Is my math right? I'm sure.
Yes, Your Honor. However, standing alone, his conduct is warranting of a 300-month sentence. And so, yes, Your Honor, considering that would run consecutive, that's the amount of time, yes, that he would be looking at.
I think I have your point.
Yes, Your Honor. The consecutive sentence sends the message to the defendant and the public, and most importantly, the victims, that the incremental harm that he inflicted upon them is worthy of incremental punishment. The reality is that defendant put himself in this position. If he hadn't obstructed the initial prosecution by the state, or had he learned from that experience to change his conduct, he would not have wound up in this position. And that is 2 cases and the prospect of consecutive sentences.
Oh, one moment. What's up, Nexie?
Hey, Atmos and chat.
How are you?
Whew, it's a lot.
I know, right?
But
We'll
remember I told you about Jane? No amount of therapy, she doesn't even care about the money. And I think facing him with that judge, I'm sorry to interrupt everybody, but I don't think it would have made a difference if she was there.
Yeah.
That judge failed every woman in Chicago. He did. He already had his mind set up. I don't think anything they said would have made a difference. Even I was kind of listening to Bonjean, and yeah, she brought her game in, but I don't think that impacted the judge either. I think he was already starstruck, and he didn't care. Okay.
Let's go ahead and wrap this up. We got a couple more pages we're gonna do, Nexie.
Yes.
And we're gonna continue tomorrow. I'm gonna let these ladies finish up. Go ahead,
Miss
Marianne.
Tanya's there.
Yes, she is.
So I wanted to touch on that. I don't think that he was starstruck. I think that I don't know, maybe he read something, or I don't know what it was, but like it seems like he came into sentencing like worried that they were requesting overkill, and like he's like, oh well, either way you're gonna die in prison, which we don't know for sure. But I don't know if it was starstruck. I would imagine that he didn't know who R. Kelly was. Most old white men don't.
I can attest to that. My uncle didn't know.
Oh gosh. And I get what y'all saying. It's just
I can't believe that he's not retired yet, that judge, though. Come on.
He should be retired. That's what I'm saying. He has a mentality of, I'm sorry if I'm overstepping here, but a mentality of the 1960s, 70s, 80s, where what R. Kelly did wasn't a big deal. But I don't feel like it's overkill, because what he has done, 30 years is nothing compared to what these women and all these children are going to go through or have gone through because of him. And no child should be harmed that way. And these girls are going to live with that, as I do, for the rest of their lives. And that part of one of the, I think it's Pauline, with her children, she doesn't allow anyone.
Right.
I know what that feels. My daughters, my sons were never allowed to go anywhere because I was petrified that somebody was going to do that to them.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that happened to you, Nexie, and every other, queen is over here.
Yes. So that judge is he needs to retire, like Miss Tanya says. He needs to go.
It's time.
Let's finish these pages up, y'all. We're gonna we got 3 more pages, and then we're gonna shut this down and then read the other 45 tomorrow, if that's possible.
that's fine. All I wanted to say was that and say hi to everybody.
Thank you, Nexie.
Thank you.
And the bushes today. Bye, guys.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Bye.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Marianne.
Okay. The posture we are in now demands that the court's focus remain on ensuring that the sentence imposed here, standing on its own sufficiently, protects the public from defendant's unrepentant exploitation of children and provides justice to the victims he harmed by his actions in this case. And Your Honor can do that by imposing the 300-month sentence that the government is requesting, even partially consecutive to the sentence that is in New York. He took that sentence and he
that
wrote
partially is partially.
The crimes the defendant committed with respect to Jane, Pauline, and Nia are deserving of a 300-month sentence on their own, and the law allows for such a sentence. And the current guidelines are an appropriate benchmark for which to guide the court. Again, under the 3553A factors to see how a 300-month sentence is appropriate. For all the reasons discussed today, and in the government sentencing memorandum, the government is asking for a sentence of 300 months to run consecutive to defendant's sentence in New York. This type of sentence is sufficient, but not greater than necessary to accomplish the goals of sentencing. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Bonjean.
Thank you, Your
Ms.
Honor.
Bonjean, what I'll do, I'll have you go ahead and start tomorrow.
Okay.
We're going to take a recess for the night and let people get some rest. It's 11:20, and I don't want the sheep to be, getting upset at you for calling them too late. All right, so everyone, I want you all to have a great night tonight, and and sleep tight, and don't let the bed bugs bite. All right.
See you in the morning.
Good night, Your Honor.
We'll return tomorrow evening. I'm going to take a nap until about 9:30 p.m. And everyone have a great night.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. See y'all later.
Good night.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You're in. You're up. Go ahead, Tanya. Speak on it.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. The first category of information that this court will have to look at is.
Oh, hold on. No.
Oh,
No,
go ahead.
I want to start. No, I want to stop. I want to stop right there.
Okay,
you threw me.
Now I was like, was I dreaming that good night?
No. I was saying good night, like good night.
Good. Okay.
Let's stop it right there.
He thought you had some commentary. You were like,
yeah,
start reading.
Man, yeah. That was at the bottom of page 43.
Yeah.
So I want Bonjean to start over fresh tomorrow. So I want to hear everything she got to say because she obviously did her doggone thing. I want to give her own spotlight. So Tanya, if you could join us tomorrow.
The chat's gonna hate me tomorrow.
No, they're not. So Tanya, if you could be here tomorrow night, and we're gonna do 9:30 again, and we're gonna come on, and hopefully some other people can join if Marianne can't. But y'all, this was awesome.
Marianne, you did a great job too, by the way.
Yes, so did you, Tanya. So did you.
Thank you.
That was hard to hear what you had to read, so that had to be hard to read.
SpongeBob said it's only 8:30 p.m. Lightweight judge.
Where are you in California?
He gotta be. He gotta be. But y'all, listen, man. Y'all did amazing. I appreciate y'all. People that do watch it, no problem. People that do watch this, if you want to leave comments, please leave comments, and I'll read those, and we'll answer them and stuff like that. Hit the like button on the way out. That would be awesome. Yep. Like, share, and subscribe if you're brand new.
Ring the bell for notification tomorrow.
That's right. We'll be back tomorrow about 9:30 tomorrow. We'll be back here for part 2 of this, where we will see.
Wait. Atmos.
Yes.
You gotta give us a little clip of your song.
Of your man song.
I'm your man.
You like that song?
I ain't going nowhere.
You got some. Okay, you got some skills. I
can't sing at all.
Hey, you hit that note though. You hit that note. Yeah, man. I'll play that on the way out. Keller said, Tanya trying to make up for when she was asleep.
I know that's right.
Man, listen, y'all have a great night. I'm gonna go get some dinner. I gotta get up early tomorrow. But we'll be back tomorrow, y'all, 9:30 p.m. I will see y'all here. Thank y'all, ladies, so much. Y'all are awesome.
Thank you. Good night.
All right, y'all have a blessed night.
Bye.
Good night.
I know you're not used to man keeping their word and following through on what they say. But I want you to know that I'm here for you. And I'm not going nowhere. Come here. Lay your head down on my shoulder. Yeah. Promise you don't have to shed another painful tear, because I'm your man, 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 and I ain't going nowhere. We gon' make it through this thing called life. I'm your man, 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 and we gon' ride, we gon' ride. Still remember the day I looked into your eyes. You caught me by surprise. That walk, that talk, the way you made me gravitate towards you.